to Millennium Daytime Bulletin. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you are watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's top headlines. South Korean faces impeachment after martial law debacle. China bans export of key microchip elements to US as trade tension escalates. North Korea, Russia and China watch as crises unfold in key US ally South Korea. Iran passes controversial chastity law imposing even harsher dress restrictions. The president doesn't like it. Syrian government forces and rebels battle outside key city of Hama. Mark Zuckerberg meets Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, seeks role in tech policy. Asia's stock declines as South Korea faces political turmoil. Men's Junior Asia Cup 2024, India defeats Pakistan 5-3 in final to win its 5th title. England lose to South Africa in ODI series opener. World Athletics prioritizes campaign after gender-based violence. Now let's look at the details. South Korean lawmakers submitted a bill on Wednesday to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol after he declared martial law in the country, a US major ally, before rescinding two decisions hours later after a chaotic standoff between Parliament and the army. Parliament rejected Yoon's surprise declaration of martial law, which attempted to ban political party and censor the media in Asia's fourth largest economy, as armed troops forced their way into the National Assembly building in Seoul. 6 South Korean opposition parties later submitted a bill in parliament to impeach Yoon, who had already faced accusation of heavy-handed leadership from his opponent and from his own party. With following set on Saturday, a plenary session to formally introduce the bill was scheduled to begin shortly after midnight on Wednesday. We couldn't ignore the illegal martial law, DP lawmaker Kim Yong-min told reporters. We can no longer let democracy collapse. Civic and labor groups held a candlelight vigil in downtown Seoul on Wednesday evening, calling for Yoon's resignation, a reminder of the massive candlelight protest that led to the impeachment of former President Park Geun-hye in 2017. They then began marching towards the presidential office. The leader of Yoon's ruling party called Defense Minister Kim Yong to be fired and the entire cabinet to resign. Kim has offered to resign, the defense ministry said. Yeol told the nation in a television speech late on Tuesday that martial law was needed to defend the country from pro-North Korean anti-sentiment forces and protect the free constitutional order. Although he cited no specific threats, troops tried to seize control of the parliament building but stood back when parliament aides sprayed them with fire extinguishers while protesters scuffled and police outside. Within hours of declaration, South Korean parliament, with 190 of the 300 members present, unanimously passed a motion for martial law to be lifted. With 18 members of Yoon's party present, the president then rejected the declaration of martial law around 6 hours after its proclamation. Protesters outside the National Assembly shouted and clapped "We won," they chanted, and one of the demonstrators banged on a drum. There are opinions that it was too much to of an emergency martial law that we did not follow the procedures of emergency martial law, but it was done strictly within the constitutional framework, a South Korean presidential official told Millennium by telephone. There has been no reaction yet from South Korea to the drama in the South. Yoon was embraced by leaders in the West as a partner in the US-led effort to unify democracy against growing authoritarianism in China, Russia, and elsewhere. But he caused unease among South Koreans by branding his critics as communist, totalitarian, and anti-state forces. Allegations against him and his wife, and he was taken a hard line against labor unions. The Chinese government has said it will ban export to the US of some key component in making semiconductors, escalating trade tensions a day after Washington announced curb targeting China's ability to make advanced chips. Among the material banned from export were the metal gallium, antimony, and germanium. China's Commerce Ministry said in the statement that cited national security concerns. Export of graphite, another component in semiconductors, would be subject to stricter reviews and end users, the ministry said. The curbs strengthen enforcement of existing limits on critical minerals exports that Beijing began rolling out last year but apply only to the US market. To safeguard national security interests and fulfill international obligations such as non-proliferation, China has decided to strengthen exports control on relevant dual-use items to the United States, the ministry said. Gallium and germanium are used in semiconductors, while germanium is also used in infrared technology, fiber optic cables, and solar cells. Antimony is used in bullet and other weaponry, while graphite is the largest component by volume of electrical vehicle batteries. There is concern that Beijing could next target other critical minerals, including those with even broader usage, such as nickel and cobalt. China accounts for 94% of world's production of gallium and 83% of germanium. Chinese customs data show there were no shipments of wrought and unwrought germanium or gallium to the US this year through October, when a year earlier was the fourth and the fifth largest market of the mineral. Similarly, China's overall October shipment of antimony product plunged by 97% from September after Beijing moved to limit its export took effect. On Monday, Washington announced a restriction on the sale of 140 companies, including Chinese chip firm Biotech and Sir Carrier, expanding efforts to curb export of state-of-art chips to China. The new US rules include control on 24 types of chip-making equipment and 3 kinds of software tool from developing or producing semiconductors. On Tuesday, China said the US has politicized and weaponized economic, trade, and technological issues as it unveiled its own export curbs. The Chinese move also restricts the export of dual-use items to United States military user or military purpose, Beijing said. The move is clearly retaliatory strike at the US, said Dan Law, an assistant professor at Singapore Technological University. It drives home an important point, which is that China is not completely passive. There are some cards it can play and hit the US with all well with regards to chip. These back and forth curbs could create supply chain disruptions as well as inflationary pressures should they affect trade for third parties, said Chuang, an associate professor. Brady Wang, associate director at technology market research from AFP, said that metals played critical roles in the high-tech industry. They were upstream in the supply chain, meaning the immediate impact on production was limited as the US-China trade tensions have persisted from some time, many intermediary manufacturers in the supply chain have been stockpiling these materials. Chinese trade associations released similarly worded statements on Tuesday urging their members to seek local alternatives to US chips. The Internet Society of China called on companies to be cautious when procuring US chips, seek to expand cooperation with chips company in other countries and regions, and activity use chips based manufacturing in China and domestic and foreign enterprises. The Chinese Association of Automobile Manufacturers accused Washington of having arbitrarily amended the control rules, seriously affecting the stable supply of US chip products. The Chinese auto industry trust and confidence in the procurement and US chip product is being shaken, and US auto chip products are no longer reliable and safe, the association said. A night of political upheaval in South Korea has upended stability in a key democratic US ally, sending shockwaves through the region and Washington at the moment of acute global tension. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol declared martial law on Tuesday night in a surprise decree that has reversed hours later following overwhelming opposition across the political spectrum from what was widely seen as a breach of country's vibrant democracy. The move, which Yoon claimed was necessary to serve the countries against anti-state forces trying to destroy the constitutional order of liberal democracy, was met by protest in Seoul and mounting calls for the president's resignation. The stunning development appeared to catch Washington's off guard. The unwavering reality for the United States military was nearly 30,000 troops and its largest overseas base in South Korea, serving as check against belligerent North Korea and counterweight to aggressive China in a strategically critical region. The turmoil has a potential for significant ramification at a moment of deepening geopolitical fault lines in Asia, where North Korea and China are straightening their alignment with Russia as it wages war on Ukraine. Leaders in Pyongyang, Beijing, and Moscow are likely watching the developments in Seoul with an eye to its political undermine, a key bastion of US power in the region. The US-South Korea alliance has long been seen both political and a cornerstone of peace in the region, where North Korea continues to threaten South Korea and the US with its illegal weapon program. That threat has only become more acute as North Korea has ramped up its partnership with Russia, sending ammunition, missiles, and soldiers, intelligence officials say, to aid Moscow's war against Ukraine. Any instability in South Korea has major ramifications for our Indo-Pacific policies, retired US colonel said, pointing to how US troops in the country are geared for a fight tonight scenario against North Korea. The less stability there is in South Korea, the worse it's going to fulfill. US President Joe Biden has worked assiduously during this time in office to bolster the US partnership with South Korea, meeting Yoon multiple times, referring to South Korean leader as great friend, and earlier this year passing his summit for democracy to Yoon to host in South Korea. Iran's parliament has enacted a harsh new modesty law, significantly tightening existing dress restrictions that have already fueled nationwide protest and posed a serious challenge to regime stability. 2 years after protests against Iran's strict dress code rocked the nation, a new chastity and hijab law was passed on Sunday by hardline parliament and approved by the Guardian Council, which vets law for compliance with the constitution and Islamic law. It must now be signed by the president to come into force. President Massoud, a critic of the country's dress code rules who has been elected last year on a reformist platform, has violent opposition to the bill setting up a potential slowdown with powerful conservatives if he tries to stand in its way. He signing off legislation in largely ceremonial, leaving little room for him to block the bill, something he acknowledges in a post on X on Tuesday. In my opinion, the hijab law, which I have to implement, is vague. We should not do anything to disturb the harmony and empathy of society. We have to talk and interact about the issue, he wrote. Legislation would begin a 3-year trial on a set of policies that would impose new harsher penalties for hijab violations and improper dress code for both men and women. For women, this includes wearing tight clothes and outfits that expose the body below the neck, above the ankles, and above the forearms. For men, any exposure below the chest and above the knees as well as shoulders is forbidden. This law also introduces a system of fines and restrictions with financial penalties even for initial offences. Multiple violations would incur punishment such as prison sentences, travel bans and restriction around driving, passport renewal and even internet access. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad forces are reportedly engaged in fierce battles with rebels on the outskirts of the major city of Hama. A monitoring group said on Tuesday evening that the Islamist militant group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham and its allies were at the gate of Hamas both on Wednesday. It said the military had retaken several villages in a counterattack backed by intense airstrikes. Syrian state media also told troops has pushed back the rebels north of the city, but the rebels denied losing any ground there. Hama, south of Aleppo, which the rebels captured last week after launching a surprise offensive from their stronghold in the northwest, the state-run Sana news agency and the Syrian Observatory, a UK-based monitoring group, both reported intense fighting on Wednesday morning around Jabal, a hill about 5 kilometers northeast of Hama. Clashes came after government forces launched a counter-attack during which they were able to push the rebels back almost 10 kilometers from the city and recapture 2 villages near the hill. A spokesperson from the rebels' military operation division accused the military of spreading rumors to raise the morale of its troops and insisted rebels were still in control of all locations they had recently taken. An affiliated news channel meanwhile said that 5 more villages east of Hama had been captured as well as a base of 25th Special Mission Forces Division on Tuesday. The reported claims say that major displacement from Hama, which is home to about 1 million people after the rebels reacted, the city's outskirts and several military, civilians and shell fires were attacked. News agency says the sound were really terrifying and the continuous bombing could be clearly heard. But he said that more than 600 people have been killed, including 107 civilians, and tens of thousands have been displaced since the start of the rebel offensive last Wednesday. The United Nations has expressed alarm at the sudden escalation of Syria's devastating 13-year civil war and warned that situation is extremely fluid and dangerous. If we do not see de-escalation and a rapid move to a serious political process involving the Syrian parties and the key international players, then I fear we will see a deepening of crisis, Special Envoy said. Mark Zuckerberg and Donald Trump, who have previously engaged in bitter public feud, are now warming to each other as Zuckerbergs seek to influence tech policy in the incoming administration. The Meta CEO dined at the president-elect Mar-a-Lago Club in Florida last week, talking about technology and demonstrating the company's camera-equipped sunglasses. Fox News reported Mark Zuckerberg has been very clear about his desires to be a supporter and a participant in this change that we are seeing all around America. A top Trump deputy told Fox Meta's president agreed with Miller. Clegg said in the recent press call that Zuckerberg wanted to play an active role in the administration tech policy decisions and wanted to participate in the debate that any administration needs to have about maintaining America's leadership in the technological sphere. Meta declined to provide further comment. The week since the elections have seen something of a give and take developing participation between Trump and Zuckerberg, who previously banned the president-elect from Instagram and Facebook for using the platforms to incite political violation on January 6. In a move that appears in deference to Trump, who has long accused Meta of censoring conservative views, the company now says its content moderation has at times been too heavy-handed. Clegg said hindsight showed that Meta overdid a bit in removing content during the COVID-19 pandemic. Zuckerberg recently blamed on the pressure from the Biden administration. We know that when enforcing our policies, our error rates are too high, which gets in the way of free expression, and we set out to enable. Meta and Zuckerberg personally have shown other signs of softening towards Trump. The company lifted its ban on Trump's ahead of the election, and Zuckerberg called the president-elect a badass for definitely pumping a fist after being shot in July. Zuckerberg also among tech leaders quick to publicly congratulate Trump following the November election and seemed to anticipate years of collaboration ahead. We have great opportunities ahead of us as a country, he said in a 6th November post on Thread. Looking forward to working with you and your administration. Now bringing you the latest updates on today's market trends. South Korea's Kospi index slumped more than 2% after President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law on Tuesday in an effort to counter anti-state forces among his political opponents. However, the move faced immediate backlash, including parliamentary rejection and public protest, leading him to revoke the measures within hours. In response, South Korean legislatures demanded Yoon's impeachment, plunging the nation into its most significant political crisis in decades. Martial law involves replacing civilian governance with military rule, suspending civilian legal processes in favor of military ones, and potentially suspending standard civil liberties. Yeol's move undermined investor confidence in the country, with ING analysts stating that sustained turmoil could even bring down South Korea's credit rating. Asia's market fears spillover from South Korea market grew wary of any potential spillover from political turmoil in South Korea, given that country is seen as a major pillar in East Asia's economy. Japan's Nikkei 225 fell 0.4%, while Topix declined 0.7%. We are monitoring particular and grave interest, Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba told reporters. In China, Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 index fell 0.3% and Shanghai Composite Index was slightly lower the data. Growth slowed in November, with Caixin PMI index dropping to 51 from 52%, reflecting weaker growth in the business and exports around US. Trump administration in Asia also faces heightened geopolitical risk, including the specters of US trade tariff around the Trump administration. US imposing stricter controls on technology exports to China this week, but Chinese chip making stock surged on Wednesday as the government recommended against buying US made chips, a move that could spur increased demand for locally made chips. Philippines TSEI Composite Index inched 0.2%, while India's Nifty 50 futures indicated a positive open. Thailand's set index climbed 1.3% on Wednesday, a day after country's finance minister Pichai stated that there was potential for a rate cut due to low inflation, but emphasized that financial decision rest with the central bank. He also reiterated the importance of aligning monetary and fiscal policies to support the nation's economy. Australian stock hit by weak GDP. Australians ASX 200 fell 0.5% on Wednesday after gross domestic product data showed the country's economy grew less than expected in September quarter. While the reading did ramp up, bets that Reserve Bank of Australia could cut interest rates sooner than expected, it will show that Australian economy was struggling amid sticky inflation and high interest rates. The Indian junior men hockey team defeated Pakistan 5-3 in final of the Men Junior Asia Cup 2024 in Muscat, Oman. To win its fifth title on Wednesday, India has now won this tournament for a record 5 times, including their previous triumphs in 2023, 2015, 2008, and 2004. Hockey India on this occasion announced a cash reward of 2 lakhs to each player and 1 lakh to each support staff member for the impeccable title defense and dominating performance in the Men's Junior Asia Cup. Pakistan captain Shahid pronounced on a stray ball in the shooting circle and beat Bikramjeet Singh in a one-on-one to steal a goal for Pakistan. India responded immediately by earning a penalty corner. Both teams traded circle entry without finding the back of the net until the end of the first quarter. Within 3 minutes of second quarter, India has avoided another penalty corner and Arijit stepped up again, finding the gap between Pakistan's goalkeeper Mohammad Janjua and postman. Following this, Indian forward relentlessly pressured Pakistan's defense. Soon, Dilraj weaved past 2 defenders on the left wing and struck the board, extending India's lead to 3-1. Although Pakistan mounted occasional attacks on the Indian goal and earned a penalty corner as the first half came to a close. Arijit created 2 chances in quick succession as the third quarter began, but Pakistan's goalkeeper Mohammad pulled off amazing serves on both occasions to keep Pakistan in the match. Both teams went back and forth until, with 6 minutes left in the quarter, Sufyan Khan flicked the ball into the Indian goal from a penalty corner, ensuring that Pakistan entered the last quarter level on score. We'll be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi. Keep watching Millennium Day Time Bulletin.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you are watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin. England were beaten by 6 wickets after a below par showing in the first one-day international against South Africa, chasing 187 in scorching conditions in Kimberley. Captain Laura anchored the inning with a gritty unbeaten 59 from 114 balls to reach the target of 15 overs to spare. England's bowler toiled but were left to rue, dropping Vowart on 5 and 27 as opener held the innings together before Nadine scored 28 balls, secured the victory in style. While the surface was tricky and offered penalty of uneven bounce, England's batter were wasteful in being dismissed for 186 in 38 overs. Number 8, Charlie, with 47 not out after England collapsed to 106 and 7 out. Cap, who was rested for the preceding 20 series and delivered a new ball masterclass to take England's first 3 wickets. Sophia was a late inclusion at the top of the order after Maya Butcher injured her neck in the warm-up and was caught behind 4 before Tammy was bowled for 11. Ecclestone to show some resistance, with Dean matching her career best score after her partner was brilliantly caught by de Klerk for 17. South Africa's batter also struggled to score fluently, but they withstood the threat of spinner Ecclestone by playing cautiously through her miserly spell of 0 to 29, and Walworth's willingness to grind out the runs proved the difference. The second of the 3 ODIs take place in Durban on Sunday. Olympic athlete Rebecca Cheptegei becomes third athlete to be killed in Kenya in past 3 years after she was doused in petrol and set on fire by a former boyfriend in September. The World Athletic Campaign Commission called on World Athletics to take a leadership role and explore partnership with relevant organizations to push for change. It is rare to see athlete from different countries, discipline, and socio-economic backgrounds agree on something as unanimously as the topic of gender-based violence. New Zealand's retired 2-time Olympic shot put campaign Adam added, "We have athletes are and in unique positions to leverage our political profiles and social influence in our communities to lobby for change. It will take a concerted effort from all of us to be leaders in the space of influence and drive the change we need." His death came after 10-kilometer world record holders Agnes Drop, who stepped into death in 2021. In a statement following the 236 World Athletics Council meeting in Monaco, the World Athletics said recent high-profile cases in Africa shock waves through the sports. It added, gender-based violence is a global issue, with all 18 members of the Athletic Commission from 18 different countries across all 6 areas, highlighting the impact and extent of gender-based violence in the regions. While accepting World Athletics limited jurisdiction outside the sports, the Athletic Commission said it hoped World Athletic can drive change through raising awareness, education, and lobbying for change. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us for more updates. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Millennium News 24. You can watch us on Android and iOS devices, as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and latest news with us. Download the Millennium TV app, Millennium TV USA for Android, and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News 24.